to brush up on zoology? Warmest welcome to World Humanitarian Drive's 29th episode of Inspiring Millions Show. This is the show where we celebrate brilliant minds from around the world who share with us their story, one story at a time. Today, our featured guest is Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, Assistant Professor of Zoology. We'll get to know his inspiring story in a short while. Thank you for joining us live or in replay. I'm Viva Andrada O'Flynn, your host and Global Media Relations of World Humanitarian Drive. Now let us tell you about World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive, also known as WHD, is an international NGO founded in Croydon, UK by British Indian global peace activist, entrepreneur, writer, Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed. The primary vision of WHD is to promote peace, education, and trade harmony initiatives globally among everyone across the world, regardless of race, gender, religion, or nationality, living as one family. WHD is striving for humanity. This Inspiring Millions show is your show. As always, we encourage you to engage and interact with us. Please help us spread inspiration to the world by sharing this link. Put your questions that you would like to ask our guest, Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, greetings, shout outs, or comments that you have for us in the chat box. We will read them later on in the show. Let us also know where you are watching this, wherever you are in the world. Let us keep you company and brighten your day as we share peace, love, and goodwill. Only 2 weeks ago, Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics has just finished. Next week, Tokyo Paralympics starts. We will witness global athletes with a diverse range of impairments show the world their outstanding sporting abilities. Life in its unexpected twists and turns can throw challenges for people to overcome. It's how people transcend these roadblocks and difficulties that inspiring stories are made of. In today's episode of Inspiring Millions Show, it is our great honor to have with us Zoyeb Mohamed Zia. Zoyeb is a bubbly, cheerful individual who lives with a rare neurological disability called Ataxia, which mainly affects the gait balance and poor coordination of limbs. Despite his disability and the various difficulties associated with it, he has gone on to become an assistant professor of zoology and is soon to start his PhD. He volunteers in Rare Diseases and Disorders segment and PWD segments. Apart from his work, his hobbies include swimming, gaming, as in video games, and is a foodie. He strongly believes you should not let disabilities come in the way of things you love. Let us all welcome a champion for rare diseases, Zoyeb Zia.
Thank you, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Shukran. Welcome and thank you for being with us today. So how are you today, Zoyeb?
I'm good, thank you.
That's great, Zoyeb. So Zoyeb, can you please introduce yourself to the world and share a brief story about you?
Yeah, so I'm from India. I'm in Chennai right now. I'm 28 years old. So as you have said, I work as an assistant professor of zoology in a college in this city. So I have this rare neurological condition known as ataxia. There are few, I don't get the number right, but it's somewhere more than 35 kinds of ataxia. And the kind which I have is one among the rare ataxias. It is called ataxia with the oculomotor apraxia. So probably I can go into the details of the disease a bit later. So basically what it does is, as you have just mentioned now, it affects my gait and coordination when I walk, and it slurs my speech and slows it down. My writing is affected and all that. It is like basically a small part of your life. Was few of the main functions are affected in your life. So you've got like a normal life where you've got a normal individual, and a few of those functions are missing from that. I so as you've mentioned, along when you have such a disability, obviously there are challenges which come with the disability. But even though I have this disability, I have tried to move forward and not let this disability stop me. Like that was one of the messages I was trying to convey there. Uh, I don't let my disability stop me from what I want to do. That is what I want to tell everyone also. Like if there is something you want to do, try your best to do that, and don't let disability stop you. Don't let your inability to do something become an excuse for not doing it.
Yeah, that's really inspiring that you don't let your disability stop you from doing things that you love. So, what was life like for you before you found out that you had ataxia?
Before the actual diagnosis, it was pretty much normal for me. Like even now, it is pretty much normal, but not as everyone would have it. Like I was what a normal kid would be when I was a kid. I was what a normal teenager would be. Like uh, at times I was aggressive. I had a lot of dreams, and that is one thing when you have these kind of disabilities. You have dreams when you're growing up, and suddenly you feel that you have to suppress your dreams. But I've not let uh, the disability which suppressed my dreams. I've not let them just die. Like I have found alternatives, alternative paths to do what I wanted to do. So I was always active student, active kid, active teenager. I had a lot of dreams. I want to play a lot of sports. I wanted to study a few different courses, which all were sort of dreams which got suppressed. But though they got suppressed, they were not totally killed off. Like I found alternatives. I couldn't do this. So what was the next best thing I could do? I found it out and I started doing that.
So, how did ataxia affect your life when you found out that you had it? Um, it stopped you from doing sports, or could you just let us know how ataxia affected you first?
Actually, yeah, exactly. That was one of the first thing it stopped me from doing was it stopped me from doing sports. The first time when I was diagnosed with ataxia, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what to think of the diagnosis. Like I didn't even know what was my life going to be. I had so many plans for my life. Like going forward, I had planned to do this at this stage, this at this stage. So everything sort of just swiped away. I didn't know what to think. So just when the actually the symptoms started before the diagnosis was given. When the symptoms started, I just felt that it was not actually some disease or something. I thought it might be some weakness or nutritional deficiency, something which would just go away over time. I didn't think it was going to be serious. Then when I got diagnosed with ataxia, I knew that firstly it was a shock. I took some time to accept. Then after the acceptance, I knew that it was going to be something permanent. So everything, all of my plans and dreams had to be modified from there on. From that point, I began calculating like I won't be able to do this. So what's the other thing I could do? That was the main difference which came about after attacks. Before my diagnosis, it was like just on a whim. I would decide I'm going to do this, and I would do that the next moment. So after the diagnosis, nothing could be like on a whim, or nothing could be without a plan. Just what I fancied, I couldn't do. I had to pre-plan everything, and everything had to be set in a definite path. Like this is what I would do first. This is what I would do after this. So everything was channeled like that. It would go step by step.
So going through this experience, you've also learned a lot of lessons in life. So what are the most important lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, something I learned. I wished I would have learned much earlier, but unfortunately I learned it a little late. But important thing that I learned was you have to open up. Like you can't keep things to yourself. That was one of the mistake I made earlier. Like early on in my diagnosis, what I did was once I was diagnosed, I just clammed up. I was like closed off, and nobody could. I wouldn't communicate with anyone, and no one would be free to communicate with me. So at that stage, I thought this was my thing and I could handle it on my own. So unfortunately, I learned it a little later on that practically nothing can be handled on your own. You always need somebody. Like they say, all of mankind is uh, they say that no one is an island, so you can't just isolate. My case was a serious medical issue there, but generally speaking, whatever problem you have, whenever you have a problem, you can't just isolate yourself. You have to always be open to talking to others and letting others tell you, like letting others give you ideas, not exactly what to do. Maybe they could help you with what you could do, not what you should do, but what you could do. That was one thing I learned. And the other thing I learned was uh, you should always be ready to ask for help. Uh, the thing is, asking for help is not easy, and it takes a little bit of courage. You need to build up a little bit of courage in yourself to, because probably I don't know those exact words, but it's hardwired in us that when you ask for help, it means that you're vulnerable somehow. Maybe somehow you feel that you are less, or uh, you need assistance at that point. That just just for that moment, you'll feel that you're lower or you're vulnerable or something. You have to be ready to overcome that fear of that moment and be ready to ask for help. And after you ask for help, you should also be ready to accept no as an answer. Not everybody you ask for help is going to help you out. So you should be ready to accept that when you ask for help, people might just say no and walk away. And that is okay. That is totally acceptable. It is their liberty whether they want to do it or not. But it is it is your duty. It is oh, your your duty again to ask for it. Whether they give it or not, it is their choice. But you have to ask. That is one thing I learned. One is you should not close yourself. You should be always ready to communicate. And the second thing is you should be ready to ask for help. And asking for help, you should be ready to take no for an answer.
Those are important life lessons right there that you've shared with us. And then it's also great that your father is also there to help you. So so he has helped you throughout. When you found out that you had ataxia, he was supporting you, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my dad actually has been a big part of this journey what I have had, right from diagnosis to whatever I am now. He's been supporting me physically, emotionally, and every which way possible. He's been there behind me. Actually, just when I got diagnosed, that was a time during school when I was I don't know about the system there, but in India we have something called a board exam. That is like you're leaving school after that exam. So I just got diagnosed before that exam, and I didn't want to give the exam. I wanted to quit the exam and quit schooling. Just stop there. So he sort of went behind my back and started informing teachers and friends to come talk to me, come support me. Obviously, he was there all along. So I think that was a very crucial time. Had it not been the support and encouragement at that time, probably it would have been my progress would have been stopped right there.
So it's also important to have supportive people around you. I'm just reading.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just reading through the comments of our virtual audience. So we have from Dominic Dawson, and he's saying that you're an inspirational young man. And then, so let's also say hi to our virtual audience. There's NP Milio.
Hi.
Tongi, Win, Marlin, okay, and others. So you're also an assistant professor of zoology.
Yes.
What do you find fascinating about zoology?
Actually, I started looking into, I was interested in biology, particularly in school. So as it progressed, biology got split up into zoology and botany, and between plants and animals, I preferred animals. Even as a kid, way back when I was small, I used to watch these documentaries, wildlife documentaries on National Geographic and Discovery and all that. And I was always fascinated by animals, and especially those wild animals, and how they interact with the jungle and the surrounding the jungle. So it actually started as a fascination for me, and as I progressed, I picked up technical tidbits here and there. So yeah, my the actual learning, it started because of the fascination. The fascination led me on to this path, and now I have progressed so much that it's become a career for me.
So you love animals now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you love most about animals? What should people know more about animals?
So something everybody should know is all the animals you see around you, they have a part to play in this ecosystem. Like everywhere, the animal has a particular role. So it's better to uh, there's one thing called, if it's not broken, you should not try to fix it. So everything is existing in that place for a reason. Maybe you don't get the reason, but everything has a reason. Apart from the obvious fact that you have pets and domestic animals and everything which helps humans in some way. Apart from that, the animals which you see, you might think that maybe they are useless or something, but everything has a role. And it's best not to disturb nature.
Yeah, and at times when people just step in, and then so there are some animals that go extinct as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about disabilities now. What would be the one thing that you'd like to see changed in how people treat others with disabilities?
I'd like to see more empathy, more understanding. Like everybody needs to understand that uh, even maybe it's a small hurdle for anyone who's walking. Like for example, you just have a small bump on the road. It's not a problem for anyone who's walking there. Maybe he'll just step over it and walk off. But you also need to think about uh, the what a person on a wheelchair or maybe a person with a walker, how difficult it will be. Just basically when you're designing anything at an individual level and even at a government level, one thing you have to keep in mind is you need empathy. So by empathy, I mean you need to understand from perspective of a disabled person. Like everything you design, everything you make, you have to look at it from the angle of uh, if a person on a wheelchair comes here, how is he going to maneuver here? If a person with a disability comes here, how is he going to maneuver here? So that is one thing I'd like more in this world. There is empathy, but I'd like to see it more in all walks of life.
That's what people need to have more empathy as well. And
Yeah.
because we're all human beings. And also there are some disabilities that are unseen. So there are some visible disabilities and there are some that people can't see the disability.
Yeah. That is another important thing that I'd like to see changed. Like people should not stereotype a disabled person. Like they should not uh, build an image in their head by themselves that this is what a disabled person should look like, this is what he should do, and this is what he should not do. They should be open to the idea that just like for everyone who's normal, all the normal people are going to be diverse. Just like that, anybody with a disability is going to be diverse. So you won't be finding like people being grouped into this or grouped into that. Everybody is going to be diverse in their own way.
We have a question from our virtual audience, Tongi Gra. So what's the COVID situation like with somebody who has a disability in India?
Yeah, that's a big thing actually. So when it comes to rare diseases, particularly something like what I have, there's no actual data backing the statements like whatever people are making. There's no actual data backing these statements, but usually doctors, uh, probably because there's lack of research or lack of individuals to be tested on. So basically what they say is everything is going to be safe for you, as uh, like if it's going to be a 97% success rate on normal person, you're going to be having probably 96. So that's all. It's going to be a very, very minute risk, because anytime they administer, there's a risk of a comorbidity. Like if you have a comorbidity there, you're slightly more at risk, but it's almost negligible, very small. And particularly in the place where I live, I live in South India, in Tamil Nadu. Here the vaccination drive is quite strong for people with disabilities.
Could you just repeat what you said about in Nadu? So how do they, what's it like with people with disabilities?
The vaccination drive I'm seeing,
Oh, okay, the
the
vaccination
the
drive.
COVID vaccination, it's particularly strong here compared to few other places. Here, particularly, they've been doing door-to-door vaccinations for people with disability, like people who can't physically go to the camps or hospitals or something. You can call up a helpline and they'll fix up with what's best for you.
Yes. And then so you're also a champion of those with disabilities, right? So you also in your own way try to help them out right now.
Yeah.
So how do you assist them right now?
So right now, what I do is I just I volunteer in those kind of events. Like they have promotional events and they have awareness events for these type of rare diseases. So I just volunteer in a way that I can be a motivational speaker in a few places. I can arrange for volunteers, like you need people to do the actual physical work, like lifting things and all that. So I can arrange students from my college, like uh, I can arrange volunteers from other places, particularly for these awareness events like runs and marathons and all that. We need volunteers to do the actual physical work there. Also, I try to arrange people for that. And most importantly, I try to be a motivational speaker wherever I find the opportunity. Because in this, uh, not exactly the rare disease segment, but if you take any disability, one of the thing that happened to me also is uh, you tend to suppress yourself, like you go into a sort of depression and you uh, need need some sort of motivation at that time. So I try to help people in that, because I kind of, because I went through similar situations, I can kind of understand what they might be going through, and what they might be needing at that point of time.
So you're there to support them, give them encouragement, because
Yeah,
because it's also hard having a disability. The loneliness, they just need support as well. So you mentioned something about marathons and activities like that. So Tokyo Paralympics, it's starting next week. So if you were going to compete in Paralympics, which sport would you choose and why?
I'd say I go for swimming, because swimming has, as you mentioned earlier, swimming is also my hobby, but I haven't actually looked into a competitive mode of swimming. So far, it's only been a hobby for me. I like to think that somewhere there is something in me, like after some trainings, maybe I can get into competitive swimming also.
Yeah, swimming. And then you also want to take up archery, right? There are so many sports you
Yeah,
want to try.
I think there's a lot of sports I want to try. Archery and Porsche. Those are things in my network. Like, I'm connected with people who do archery and people who do Porsche. So that is something straight out of my network. And the other thing I also I dream of it, but uh, maybe that's something I can't do. I was always fascinated with mixed martial arts like jiu-jitsu and those type of martial arts.
Uh,
Actually, I gave uh, I gave one of them a try also, but it couldn't work out at that time. So probably I can give it a try later on. But swimming would be my straight away first option.
yeah, you're a young man who wants to try different kinds of sports
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
And then, so you're also a foodie, right? You love exploring different restaurants with
yeah,
your friends. So let's talk about World Humanitarian Drive. World Humanitarian Drive has a Science Bazaar initiative to empower outstanding talents by recognizing and encouraging discoveries. So this is also for the youth to uplift youth innovation. So how important is this initiative in these times?
yeah. In these times, particularly, I think that apart from the obvious psychological and medical stress, there's also going to be a, a sort of economic stress which will be coming on, and particularly it's going to be hitting the youth at this time. So probably organizations which are, because youth particularly, I find that including me also, we are going to be having talents and we are going to be having ideas, but maybe due to lack of resources, somewhere they're going to be suppressed. So organizations like yours, maybe if you could give the youth, give all of us a helping hand, or find out the talent and scout us out, maybe there's definitely a lot of potential in this particular segment in the youths.
So there should be more opportunities for the youth. So it's great that when
Yeah,
organizations support the youth.
yeah.
So we also have virtual audience from different parts of the world, and some of them haven't been to India yet. So what can you tell them about India, and what do you love most about India?
So what I can say is, India is basically it is quite crowded, like everyone must know it, but but the thing here is almost everybody here is very friendly and very helpful in nature. At least, yeah, when you're interacting with them straight away, they're going to be very friendly and very helpful. But I find that some of the policies, they can be improved. There is scope for improvement, and definitely we are improving. We are on the path to improvement. I see the improvement happening already. So anybody who's planning to visit India soon, or maybe after all this pandemic thing is over, so one thing you can know straight away is it is a very, very scenic, very beautiful place. You've got very friendly and very lovely, jovial people here. So basically everything is good in India, uh, and we call ourselves developing. So yeah, definitely we are developing now, and the development is happening pretty fast.
Yeah, I'm sure India is a beautiful place to discover, and then we just hope that this COVID pandemic will end so that we can explore many different places around the world. So we just have we have another message from Dominic Dawson. So wishing you all the best, mate. I am so pleased to see and hear you after many years. Please give my regards to your father.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
so it's also World Honeybee Day tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is the importance of honeybee? What should we know about it?
As many of you might be knowing that when you think of honeybees, the first thing you think is flowers. So honeybees are the most important when you look at the full ecological the ecosystem as a cycle. The honeybee plays a very crucial role. It is one of the most important pollinators. So pollinators is something you must be knowing. Those like they help carry the little seeds of flowers. So they'll be helping in formation of fruits, and ideally, just like I was telling you earlier, everything has a role in the system, and honeybees play one of the most important roles. So I don't remember exactly who said this, but without honeybees, the earth would probably survive for some 15 years or something. That's it. Because uh, from the flowers, you obviously get flowers only when there are pollinators, and you obviously get fruits only when there are flowers, and you'll obviously get trees only when there are fruits to give the seed, and so it forms a whole cycle: flowers, fruits, trees, animals, ultimately humans. You break off one of the parts of this chain, and ultimately the whole chain will collapse.
Wow, so we'll be looking at honeybees differently as well. Yeah, thank you for that zoology lesson. So we've got a final question that we ask our guests. What is your inspiring message to the world?
My message, like I've always been telling, I tell this in all my talks, you should not let, like I mentioned earlier, you should not let a disability stop you from doing what you want to do. Because everything you want to do definitely has a alternative pathway. Like you can't do this in this way, probably you can do this in another way. So always be on the lookout for how you can do it, and why you cannot do it. If there is something stopping you straight away, you already know that you cannot do this in this way, but probably you just have to look at the ultimate goal and the path. You can redefine your paths. You can start building your own path. It's not necessary that you have to follow just one path towards your goal. So my main message would be, if disability or if anything stops you in your path, don't let that be the end. Like, when you can't follow one path, you always have an alternate path, and you just have to look for that alternate path.
Thank you so much, Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, for honoring us with your presence, sharing your words of wisdom, expertise, and inspiring the world with your story. In honor of international recognition for your virtue in persistently serving and inspiring humanity with your noble deeds, World Humanitarian Drive would like to award you, Mr. Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, with Inspiring Humanitarian Award. It's signed by Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed, WHD founder and chairman. We're just going to be emailing you the certificate. So thank you so much, Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, for all your humanitarian works, and here's to many more. So congratulations.
Thank you. And before I sign off, I'd like to tell the audience, anyone who's listening to me, you can contact me on social media through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and you can ask me anything. I probably missed out the details about ataxia. So if you want to know about my condition, what exactly it is, you can probably contact me straight away, or you can even look it up online, and you could do a little bit of research on your own, and you can always feel free to ask me whatever you want.
Thank you so much. We're going to be posting the social media links of Zoyeb. So Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, Assistant Professor of Zoology and Ataxia warrior. We would like to share a quotation by an Indian chef, Vikas Khanna. Disability is the inability to see ability.
Yeah,
we hope.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion with Zoyeb Mohamed Zia, and that it motivated you to see beyond a person's disability and to rise up from challenges that you face. Here on Inspiring Millions Show, we present you with brilliant people from around the world, so feel free to connect with them on social media. And together, let's make a difference in the world. If today's discussion inspired you, please like it, share it, send us a comment, and also do share with us your takeaways from today. Follow us on our social media accounts. Click subscribe on our YouTube channel, WHD Media. Visit our WHD website, www.whd.org.uk for more inspiring events. Just an announcement, World Humanitarian Drive is campaigning to the United Nations for World Moral Day on the 2nd of September. Fill up the online form, link in the comments section, and then you will receive a Moral Champion certificate like this. Also, there is a competition for Indian nationals organized by Dr. Fajila Azad, Global Ambassador of WHD. Do check it out. Stay safe and healthy. These are challenging times for everyone. Please remember to be kind to yourself and to others. To our frontliners, we salute you. We thank you for your hard work, sacrifices, and dedication to humanity. Virtual hug to you all. To all those celebrating their birthdays and special milestones this week, happy celebrations. Have a wonderful weekend. On behalf of WHD team, especially those working behind the scenes, WHD Chairman Dr. Abdul Basit Saeed, WHD Director of Global Operations, Ms. Sarah Wilson, WHD's 12 Honorable Secretary Generals. We thank you, our virtual audience from around the world, for joining us and supporting our show. This has been World Humanitarian Drive's Inspiring Millions show. I'm Viva Andrada O'Flynn. Please join us again next Friday. We will have a discussion with Councillor Raymond Padilla, Filipino Nurses Association UK Regional Director, as we inspire the world here on Inspiring Millions Show.